Hey guys, Subtle Static here and welcome to another video. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about send and return tracks because it's something that I've found that like a lot of producers don't actually really know about or use them too much. So I'm going to show you where that can be really useful using sends and returns, and also using sends and returns within Drum Rack itself too. So to get started, this is just fresh Ableton as you'd open it up. Let's just go to our arrangement view. So down here, I've just loaded up a little Cymatics a cappella from the Euphoria pack, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have downloaded.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town?
So yeah, that's the vocal. But normally what we would do here is we'd just chuck like a reverb on the end of the track. So if I was to get my favorite reverb, throw that on, it sounds okay.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love it.
But personally for me, if I was producing a track, there is no way I would do this now. So let's get rid of that, because essentially we don't exactly want reverbs on the audio track. Why is that? Well, we can use return tracks. So if you don't have return tracks enabled, it might look something like this. All you got to do is just press this little R button down here. So we can go down here. We've got a little A reverb. Let's delete that. And you can use your reverb of choice. I'm using this one from Native Instruments. Very good plugin, by the way. And we'll put the delay down to something like 2.7. That's okay for this. And this is where the big advantage of using return tracks can come in, because you can put an EQ before your reverb to filter out the lows, and you've got a lot more control over your reverbs. So, and we'll just filter the highs a bit, something like that. Now, if we were to play this,
Tell me, babe.
There's still no reverb. So that's why we need to use our sends. So these little buttons here are our sends, and that's kind of like your volume that goes to your sends. So we could have something like that.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love it if you wanna go, I'm down.
Now if we were to solo our return track, which is this one down here, you can really see how that affects the vocals. It's a nice clean reverb when you can do this kind of thing, because you don't have any of the low end coming in from your vocals or drums or whatever else you want to use. So that's essentially how to use these return tracks and why they are so useful. You could do this with distortion. It doesn't have to be reverb. It can be anything. It could be chorus, could be a compressor. Could even be sidechain. So if you wanted a whole heap of tracks being sent to one sidechain, you could essentially do something like this. So you insert return track. So we've got this B return track here with nothing on it. Let's say we want to put a compressor on it. We'd enable sidechain to something. Have that down there somewhere. And then what you could do up here is we could just, instead of getting this sent to our master, we could get this to go sends only. So if I was to put this up here, no sound. If I was to slowly edge this, it's our B1. So if I was to slowly edge our B1 up, that's sending it to that compressor.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town?
And I could say have a kick drum or something going. So let's just put one in quickly. Let's use this one. Not that I would normally sidechain a vocal to a kick, but just for demonstration, we could set that to the little drum there, which is that one.
Wanna go? Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love it if you wanna go.
So yeah, that's where that can be useful, because you can essentially have as many tracks as you wanted sent to that. specific compressor. So can be very handy, can be a little bit confusing with using sends and returns and where to use them. But essentially, you're going to always want to use it on things like some drums, vocals, stuff like that, even some instruments too. So for the drum rack, you might think, well, if I put a drum rack in, I can't exactly use sends and returns on the individual samples. Well, the thing is, you can. I didn't actually know that you could. So we'll just load up this one, the Heritage Kit. Sounds like this. So there's no indication here at all that you can use sends and returns within this. It's just this thing here. You could do this, but that's a bit annoying because it's over the top of all of those samples that you've got loaded into your drum rack. So what we can do, this little button here that allows us to view the list of all the samples we've got. Notice down here, there's drop audio effects here. Drum rack has its own sends and returns that are completely separate to Ableton's. So we would just enable the send button here. It will have this if you've just loaded in like a stock drum kit. That's essentially just like your mapping stuff for all this. So you can delete that. That won't change the sound. That'll just get rid of these controls. So what we'll do now is we'll essentially just copy these from what we've got on Ableton's return track, and we'll paste that into our drum rack. So now you'll notice down here we've got the same reverb as we have on here. So we might say find our snare. So this one, say you want a bit of reverb, just listen to the sound now. And the kick and everything else is unaffected. So yeah, that can be really helpful. Sends and returns are great if you just want like multiple samples or instruments or sounds just going straight to one specific reverb. So you don't have to like copy all the settings. It's quite a speedy way to do things. And it also sounds better if you know what you're doing. So this kind of trick here, that's really helpful. But yeah, so that's essentially the basics for sends and returns. I've tried to go relatively in depth with this, but that should kind of get you started with using sends and returns and give you a rough idea of why to use them, when to use them, and how to use them. So I hope that's helped you guys out a lot. So if you haven't been following along on the Instagram, we've got a new single coming out on the 11th of this month, September. That's called Did You Ever Know? So bit of a vocal-y track that I've done, and one of the biggest songs I've done actually. And then not too long after, we've got like the full album coming out. So that's really exciting, really keen to drop it. Currently on Instagram, we've also got a chord giveaway. So if you haven't gotten onto that, head over to Instagram. It's just @subtlestatic, and then enter that one. Free little synth if you want it. So thanks heaps for watching, guys. We'll see you again next time.